Hello, it's Erin. Welcome back to another bullet journal plan with me video. If you're going to be planning alongside me, then grab your bullet journal and every purple and blue item of stationery that you own. I'm just gonna quickly light a candle here to set the mood, and I want to tell you a little story about my town, Brisbane. In October every year, yes, October, not November, my city bursts alive with colour. Everywhere you go, there are pops of lilac because the jacarandas are in bloom, and for some people it means exam season, uni students especially, but for me it just means warmer days, longer days, time to start wearing shorts again. And even though I'm a winter girl, I always really enjoy this time of year. Granted, by the beginning of November, jacaranda season is just about over. It's kind of like cherry blossom season in Asia, where you only get a couple of weeks to enjoy. But because October was very much dedicated to Halloween in my bullet journal this year, I didn't want to miss out on having some jacaranda fun, and there is a park absolutely full of them just up the road from my house. So I jumped up there, I grabbed myself a little sprig of jacaranda, which you can see chilling in some water right here, and I used it as the inspiration for the design for my November bullet journal, which you're watching me set up right now. So the jacaranda element on this calendar page is a little bit involved. Quite similarly to in my last video, I used real flowers as the inspiration for the design on this page, so I've just sat down with my pencil and sketched out some jacaranda flowers individually. I've kind of simplified them a little bit because my art skills are not the best, and I'm just having them above and below my November calendar. So each of these boxes in the November calendar is 4 spaces by 4 spaces. I've put down some very pale blue along the top to outline each of the names of the days of the week, and I decided after the fact that I was going to box those in as well. I've decided this is not a ruler layout, although if you were wanting to create something similar and you are a diehard ruler user, you can absolutely jump in there with your ruler. I won't judge you for it. I do it sometimes too. I just thought with the sketchiness of these jacaranda flowers that maybe it would be nice to keep things really loose and flowing and just freehand things this time around. And I also didn't feel like cleaning off my ruler every couple of minutes, so you know, I'm a lazy girl sometimes, what can I say? In case you're wondering, the notebook I'm using in this video is the Notebook Therapy 160 GSM bullet journal. It's their original size, which is just a little bit smaller than an A5 journal, and it is currently my preferred bullet journal size. Now, I say this in just about every video, but I am definitely not an artist. I like to play with artistic things, but I don't know that I always necessarily pull off quite what I'm going for. And I have some of these little jacaranda flowers later in this design, in this November setup, that I think actually turned out a lot better than the ones on this calendar page, so that's always fun when, you know, you get better at things as you go along, but these ones turned out fine. I think it's okay. Let's quickly talk about the pens that I'm using in this setup. The one I'm currently colouring the stems of my jacarandas with is the Tombow Dual Brush Pen N89, which the cap looks kind of beige, but it's actually a very lovely grey. The main base colour that I'm using for all of my jacaranda flowers is a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen, a brush pen, in Lilac 239, and it's kind of picking up the fineliner as I colour over it and muddying things a little. I don't always love that, but I didn't care too much for this one. I wanted a really textured, kind of streaky look on these flowers because, I mean, you'll see why in a minute when I get in there with some other colours, but the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist brush pens used to be my go-to, but I've recently realised that the brush tip on the Tombow Dual pens is basically the exact width of the 5mm dot grid in my journal, so that's just so convenient. The next pen I'm going to jump in with is the Tombow 623, and I'm just going to pop up on the screen here the picture that inspired the way I'm doing these colours in this journal. This is an incredible piece of art by Jen Matson, which I believe is not available anymore, but I would have loved to have this on my wall. I loved the mix of purple, mauve, lilac tones with a little bit of blue in this picture, and I wanted to really bring that into my journal. So I'm also going to be jumping in with the same pale blue that I used for the headings on this page. I'm going to kind of use it like a highlight actually. So the Tombow lilac color is going to be the shadows on those jacarandas, and the blue is kind of like a highlight, and it is the 491. I'm just quickly going to add the numbers for each day of the month here. November has 30 days and I got it right, which is always nice. And then we're going to add just a little bit more decoration with some washi tape. I'm using three washi tapes in this setup. The two thicker ones are from the washi tape shop, and if you would like to grab those bad boys, I'll pop a link in the description for you so you can find those exact ones. You can also get 10% off at the washi tape shop with my code ErinSmith10. These are actually a Sakura design, but like I said before, Jacaranda season is like Sakura season's equivalent, I guess, in Australia, at least in my part of Australia. So I felt like it was appropriate enough, you know, and the colours kind of, they tone well. I liked that I was bringing in a bit of gold as well. And the skinny kind of greyish beigey washi tape is from a new little stationery shop that has opened in Brisbane called Mint My Desk, which sounds delicious. I wanted to show you quickly my little mood board for this design. This is something I've been doing for my last few bullet journal layouts. Is in an old journal, I'm just putting together a bit of a mood board of the colors that I might like to use together. This one here is from my last video, which you can check out up here in the corner in the cards if you'd like to watch that. It's really fun to set these up, and it just gets me really hyped for the month coming, and I know that everything's going to work nicely together on the page, so I really recommend that if you're an over planner like me and you want to make sure that things are going to look good. Since we've got that calendar page all sorted now, we're going to turn over, and this first one is going to be my gratitude and goals page. I grabbed the wrong pen to start with. I grabbed the Faber-Castell, but I actually wanted the Tombow 623, and I'm going to highlight every second line here for my gratitude log. So just to warn you, there's going to be a lot of mistakes in this setup in the coming pages. I also don't think I told you what the pen I'm using for all of my heading lettering is. It's a silver Sharpie. The metallic Sharpies have been appearing in quite a few of my recent bullet journal videos, which is interesting. I'm really enjoying those bad boys right now. And let's be honest, I'm a lazy girl, and I didn't want to go to all of the trouble of drawing all of those jacaranda flowers on every single page, and some of my pages are a little bit more data heavy and end up quite busy anyway, so I didn't want things to get overwhelming when you looked at it. So I'm doing a different style of jacaranda for these pages, and I will show you a full tutorial on how to achieve this. It's a lot easier than the ones on my cover page, and so simple and so cute. So stay tuned for that. I will show you in a couple of pages time exactly how you can achieve this. And here is the first mistake. It's always numbers. The numbers always get me. I'd highlighted every alternate space here, but I still wanted to use the unhighlighted spaces, and I just put my numbers in the ones that were purple, and that was not what I meant to do at all. And you can see me raging a little bit on camera here. There's always something. I mess something up every time, and that is so absolutely okay. But sometimes it does get a little bit frustrating. So I jumped in with some correction tape, and I'm just going to fix up the numbers that way. The brush pen doesn't go down over correction tape so well, but it's fine, I guess. So I'm just trying to purple those up as much as I can. They're always going to look a little bit different to the rest of the page. That's the best we're going to get though, unless you get in there with some paper that's taken from somewhere else in your book and actually paste it over the top. Whatever, I'm going to leave it at that, carry on. And for the goal section down below, I'm going to use the blue Tombow to highlight every second line. And then we're going to get back to this jacaranda decoration, which I paused on because I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to put these things. I'm using them kind of like dividers, a little bit on each side of each heading, just to keep the color scheme going, keep some continuity in there, and to remind me of the jacarandas, because most of November when I'm using this setup, they will be long gone, which is a little bit sad. I wasn't super into drawing boxes around things for this particular journal setup. I had the same layout for October for the gratitude and goals, but I had kind of boxes around them. I realized at this point that I had spaced things out a bit wrong, and I actually wanted the gratitude lines to come a little bit further over, so I'm just adding a bit more on there. I just have to resign myself to the fact that this gratitude section looks a bit weird and is going to look a bit weird, and that's fine because it will still work the way it's supposed to, and I only have to use it for a month and then I can forget about it, and it's not a big deal. The next page is for phone and sleep tracking, so phone usage and how much I sleep. I used this, once again, exact same layout in my October setup, and it worked great. So I'm not changing anything, because that's the beauty of finding layouts that work for you, is not changing them. This is my kitty Mitsu, and he is a little chaos demon, and I love him to bits, but he always likes to come and just show his face in a bullet journal video. He actually sat down on my wrist when I was going to add some washi tape to the gratitude and goals page, so I thought I'd get him to just guest star for a moment and give him some scratchies, and then go give him his dinner, because that's what he's asking for. If you'd like to see more of the Mitsu, I do post him quite often to my Instagram stories, so jump onto erinsmith.art on Instagram and you can see more of this bullet journal layout after the pen, more of it in general in some photo form, and quite a bit of my cat, because he is my baby darling child and I love him to bits. I wanted to have this middle Jacaranda span both pages, because I just thought that would be a nice, fun, cohesive design element. The way the Jacaranda flowers go, they don't seem to really have leaves when they're in bloom. They're just flowers all over, and it's amazing. They grow in these little clusters, so they look like little clouds. The left column here of the phone and sleep tracker is where I track my phone usage, so I just draw a little bar from that left line all the way across to however much I used my phone, which my phone logs that for me, so I can just check back on that. And on the right side is the sleep, so it's a little bit different. Rather than just doing quantity, you know, from how many hours I slept, I actually do it by times. And you may have noticed that I messed up my numbers again here. This time I've got in there with a white gel pen to correct that, because it was a bit of a smaller mistake than last time, where I went 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's morning, so even if we were using 24-hour time, 13 is incorrect. So basically, if I go to bed at 10 and I wake up at 7, then I will draw a line from the 10 to the 7. And that's how I use that tracker. We're going to turn the page and we're on to the spending tracker. This one never changes because it works so well. I really feel like I've found my groove with my bullet journal layouts lately, which is a nice place to be, because it means that systems are working. And when systems are working, it means I'm usually pretty on top of things, which is a good way to be. Especially when times get busy, and we all know that December is a traditionally hectic month, so it's good to have the month before it be organized, I guess. Just in case you are new here, the way this spending tracker works is I have 2 lots of 3 columns. They are for item, type, and cost. So everything that I buy, I write down what it was, I categorize it into one of many categories that I have made for myself, and how much it cost, and then at the end of the month I tally everything up by type, and I transfer it into an overall spending tracker that I have at the beginning of my first bullet journal for the year. And then I can see big overarching spending habits, and it's very useful. And on this facing page, okay, maybe it's a bit early for some people, but it is not too early for me. This is a Christmas gift list. I like to plot and scheme what I'm going to get people very far in advance, so this is going to come in handy. And I'm not sure yet exactly how I'll use it, so I've just left myself an empty box and I'll work that out later. But for now, I want to show you how I do these cute little Jacaranda designs that are super easy. So I'm using the grey Tombow just to give myself some stems. They don't have to be too precise. It's just a line with a few other shorter lines coming off it in whatever direction feels right to you. They can be pretty erratic and it will work just fine. Then we're going in with the lightest of the purples. This is the Faber-Castell Lilac 239, and just adding little dots into a cotton candy kind of shape that goes around the ends of those lines that you made. When I say cotton candy, I mean thinner towards the branch and then kind of bulbous at the end. And you want to take gravity into account a little bit here too, so sometimes they'll be hanging down, so the bottom of the area will be, I guess, thicker, maybe more bulbous towards that side. It's okay to have them kind of blend into each other as well, so 2 clusters can touch each other, because that's what the tree would look like. If you need some inspiration for this kind of thing, you can look up Jacaranda pictures online and you will see plenty of this kind of stuff. Or if you're currently in Brisbane, you can go for a walk outside and you will also see plenty of this kind of stuff. The trick here is just to do little dots, so don't colour it in the way you normally would. We're going for kind of an impressionist thing here, so lots of little dots. Then once you're happy with how much lilac you've got down on the page, we're going to go in with the slightly darker purple, the Tombow. This one was the 623, and just add little dots at the bottom, almost like a shadow. So some of them can drift up towards the top because light shining through things makes shadows in other places, and that's okay, but I'm concentrating them mostly towards the bottom of these little clusters, and that's going to be our depth, our shadow. It's going to bring in another little bit of color, which I really like. Some can have more than others. And you could do this with completely different colors. They don't have to be jacarandas, especially if you don't have those where you live. You could do these with autumn colors for autumn leaves, because I know that's what half of the world is experiencing at the moment, is autumn and fall. It's spring here in Australia, which is why we have blooming jacarandas. You could do it just with different shades of green. You could pick something else entirely. And just like before, as I mentioned, I'm using the 491, the blue Tombow, for a little bit of a highlight. And that's going to be mostly towards the top of those little floral clusters, and that's going to give you that 3-color modelly impressionist, very easy jacaranda look. Then we just grab that silver Sharpie, add the gift list heading up the top of the page there, and I felt like the sides were a little bit bare, but I also didn't want to get in there and do a whole bunch of jacarandas, because I feel like maybe I went a little bit too hard on my October decorations. I was excited about Halloween, not gonna lie, so I'm using this thin washi tape. As I mentioned, this one is from a local shop to me, but plain washi tapes like this you can get in a lot of places. This next page, I'm incorporating things that I usually have on very separate pages. This is a combined habit and mood tracker, and I'm very proud of how I put this together, because sometimes I just do things that I'm like, wow, Erin, that was pretty creative, go you. So inside of this box is going to be my habit tracker, the same way that I always do it. So these blue bands along the top are where the days of the week go. So one will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. initials, and the other one will be 1 through 30 for the days of November. I just find I really need to have the initial for the day as well, because I will quite often remember what I did on Tuesday, but not what I did on the 2nd, if that makes sense. So I like to have both in every part of my journal wherever possible. Here she goes again with the mistakes. I have given myself an extra day. There is no 31st of November, but I added a W as if there was. That will be the 1st of December, so getting back in there with my correction tape, and I'm just going to pretend like that didn't happen. These lilac lines are going to be where I write the habit that I want to track, and then I'm just going to add a hand-drawn line all the way across to make it a little bit easier to see where I'm going here, because if I don't have those, I get confused. Just helps me to follow the line across to the appropriate space. Sometimes I'll even add the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the 1, 2, 3 underneath the habit tracker as well, if it's a particularly dense habit tracker with a lot of habits, because then the habits that are on the bottom, it's easier to kind of look up from the bottom than it is to track all the way down the side. And now I'm getting back into drawing a lot of very detailed jacaranda flowers, and these ones I think turned out way better than the ones on the calendar page. Very impressed with myself here. Just by this point I had got the hang of it a little bit. I was understanding the flower shape a little bit better. But these flowers are going to be my mood tracker. So if you've been following me for the last couple of months, you will know that in September I did an epic Lord of the Rings layout and had the best time. And my mood tracker for September was Bilbo Baggins' front door, and I coloured in a different panel on his front door for every day corresponding to a colour that corresponded to my mood, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do the same thing here, where my 3 colours that I've used throughout this layout are going to be the colours that end up on these flowers, each once again corresponding to a mood. In October, I just drew a line in a colour and it was so underwhelming. I was so disappointed in it. I was like, this isn't fun at all. Why did I do this to myself? This was an opportunity to do something really exciting and I didn't take it. And I could have. So, you know, a little bit of regret there. I'm learning from my mistakes and I'm going to be colouring in some jacaranda flowers, and I hope that that ends up meaning that I have a beautiful habit tracker spread when this is done. So it's just going to be line art for now, but if you want to see what it looks like all coloured in, jump onto my Instagram. As I mentioned before, it's at erinsmith.art. There's a link down in the description as well, so you can find me really easily. And you can see what this looks like as it gets filled in. How exciting. There's only one spread left, and in a shocking twist of events, in an Erin world first in her bullet journal, this is a weekly spread that is about to end up my favourite spread in this entire setup. Usually I love my calendar page, or I'll be really proud of the habit tracker or the mood tracker or whatever it is, but this time the weekly has really taken the cake here. It's the exact same setup functionally as what I used in October, where I have the left page dedicated to the days of the week and the right page dedicated to a running to-do list. That's working so well for me, but the rest of it, just like last month, I'm going to get in there with things that don't require me to draw on the pages. that make my life very easy. So I picked up this bunch of stickers also from Mint My Desk in my city, but you can find similar things on like Wish, you can find similar things on Etsy, you can find similar things on Notebook Therapy. I just went through this bundle of stickers, which I strategically purchased for this specific bullet journal layout that I had in mind. I'm mixing it up with those same 2 washi tapes from the washi tape shop and also the skinny greyish washi tape. And I'm just going to use those to fill the space on either side of these columns. Now, usually I would put boxes around these so that it's a very delineated, this is Monday's box and this is Tuesday's box and this is the to-do area. But as I was drawing out the colours for that left page, I was like, I don't think I want boxes this time. I wonder what it would look like if they were floating. And so we're about to find out. So I went through all the stickers, I found the ones that I thought were most appropriate here. Some of them were like pictures of a hand holding a Coke can and stuff like that, and I was like, that's not very Jacaranda. So I just took the ones that were kind of floral or nondescript, like this little gingham, just anything that seemed right to my heart. And I'm just playing with how they're going to sit on the page. So I'm using the washi tape to make sure that there are no gaps, trying to space out the really bold colours so that there's not too much visual weight in one particular area, overlapping things because I love to overlap things, and just playing with something that's really creative but also really easy, which is always a nice feeling. I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the facing page next to the to-do list. Doing the exact same thing, just trying to balance out the colours, balance out the visual weight, make sure that there are little bits of all of the things represented that I wanted represented. I'm quite happy to cut the stickers down if I think that they're not quite the right size. Also, just for any plant enthusiasts out there, jacarandas do not survive very well once removed from their tree. They're very delicate, so the ones in my jar are actually so sad. They're quite wilted, and this was only the day after I picked them. I sketched them out the night before, so not exactly the kind of flower that makes it into a wedding bouquet. Sorry if my sad jacarandas made you feel sad too. They weren't really a very good reference anymore by this point. And that is it for my November setup for 2021. Here is the final flip through. I hope you've enjoyed. I definitely have enjoyed setting up this particular bullet journal layout. And funnily enough, it's not my only purple and blue layout for 2021. My August setup was also purple and blue. So if you'd like to scroll back through my channel and watch that one, if you'd like some inspiration, that one was a lot easier than this one, I do believe. But I think I had more fun with this one, so I don't know. You can find me in all of the places on the internet where you might want to find me down in the description below. Thank you so much for coming along on this planning journey with me. I hope you had a good time. And if you planned with me, I would love to see what you did. So please do go and tag me on Instagram so that I can see your beautiful November creations. I hope November is incredibly kind to you. So until next time, stay safe and happy, and let's plan together again soon. Bye!